Rest is what a lot of us think of when we think of the word recovery as well. And so there is a distinct difference. When we think of rest, we think of lying still, giving our body a break, allowing things to recharge. And recovery is a little bit different, right? So with recovery, we're looking for the elements or the things that we can incorporate that create energy. So rest is something that may create energy for you, and that might be a form of recovery if that's what you need. Others, it might be something that's very active. So for example, my favorite form of recovery is exercise. I enjoy going on a short run or maybe a walk, or hitting the gym to feel just that energy rejuvenated. Oftentimes when I wake up in the morning or if I'm lifting after work, I don't really feel all that enthused about going. But by the time I'm leaving, I feel really good about myself. I feel like I've accomplished something and I feel like I have new energy, which is why I typically like to work out in the mornings to bring that kind of energy to my day. So now that we've defined recovery as Jeddy Wellness would like to define it, if you guys want to throw in the comments, if you guys are listening live, some forms of recovery that you prefer, I'd love to hear it. So just give us anything that you like to do as a form of recovery, something that really brings you energy. And so we're going to kind of talk about the need for recovery and rest in the workplace sphere, right? And so I'm going to talk about how our current culture really has shifted towards this toughness, this culture that I call burnout boasting, and I'll talk about that in a second. But what I'll have you guys do as we talk about a culture that encourages toughness and that doesn't really define it well is what toughness means to you, right? We talk about the Mamba mentality a lot and what that means to be tough in the sports sphere, and that's really caused a lot of athletes to not realize their need for rest and recovery. And that just means that a lot of athletes think, well, if I'm sleeping, if I'm resting, if I'm doing things that I enjoy that bring me energy that aren't whatever sport I play or whatever sphere of work I work in, then someone else is getting ahead of me, right? The common conception in sports is if I'm not working, someone else is, and they're getting ahead of me. And so that kind of culture has created what we call it push through culture. And that push through culture is what has led us to this extreme burnout that a lot of us tend to deal with. And so what I call that is burnout boasting. A lot of us come to these conversations where everyone gets just wrapped up in how exhausted they are that, you want to express it. You want to let it out because you feel like you're overworked and you want someone to hear you. But then someone one-ups you. You got someone else who's like, well, I actually did this, or I've gone this amount of days without a full night's sleep, or I had to work this many hours in a row in a shift, right? And I call that burnout boasting because we just seem to one up each other. And in this culture where it's reinforced, it's almost seen as like a good thing. Like, yeah, we have this employee that was willing to lay down X or give up Y. And that kind of culture that we've built is very or unproductive for our actual productivity in the workplace. I'll give an example of my own. My own boss stayed for a 24-hour challenge we had here at school where two students wanted to stay on the playground for 24 hours in a Mr. Beast challenge-esque way. And my boss took the responsibility of saying, hey, someone has to stay here and watch those kids. I will stay overnight with these kids after working a full day with them and work the next one afterwards, right? That's something that our current culture in this grind culture that we talk about has really, really encouraged. So that's just an example of, the burnout boasting. He can now say, hey, I spent 36 hours. He's actually still there at work right now. And if he hits 6 o'clock, he will have spent 35 hours here, I believe. So in the name of burnout boasting, if you guys want to share some burnout boasts that you've heard before, or maybe something that you've done yourself, then you are more than welcome to share that in the comments, and you will receive your flowers before we talk about the necessity of recovery itself. So as we move on to the recovery itself, I'm going to tell you how important it is. In our blog about rest and recovery, we talk about what you model is what you multiply. And this is for leaders, right? If you're a workplace leader, if you have any person that works beneath you, you're considered a leader in your workplace in some regard. And what we mean by what you model, you multiply is the energy that you give forward is reproduced by your employees. Meaning that if you're worn out, if you're tired, snappy, not really bringing it to the job, then your employees will do the same thing, right? And that's not for us to say, hey, you need to bring it 100%, have the full force attitude all the time. It means that you have to really embrace the need for rest and recovery so that you can have the proper attitude at work, so that you are not feeling lethargic or overworked, so that you have the proper, interactions with your teammates and with those that work beneath you. So that's what we mean when we say what you model, you multiply. The proper thing to understand here when we're talking about recovery is that it's necessary for growth. A lot of us in work culture think that if I work more, I produce more. If I work more, I produce more. If I stay late, I'll get more deliverables accomplished, right? But I think that our workspace is much like training. Like I said earlier, my passion for the gym, it's much like training in the gym, right? You work hard in the gym, you break down those muscles, but what the actual where the actual progress is made is at home. When you're resting, when you're eating the proper foods to fuel those muscles, right? What you're doing in the gym is necessary to the growing process, just like your hard work at the job is necessary to actually accomplishing and doing the job properly. But if you are not doing the rest and recovery necessary, then eventually those gains or the productivity start to suffer, right? So I see in the chat we have a couple people checking in now. I'm not able to check it. Oh, there it is. I see some people are checking in from Charlotte, North Carolina. It's my hometown. Shout out, love it. See that we have some other folks saying, been burnt out at work before, had to quit, filed a complaint against the ex-colleague at HR. So that's an example of that. What you model, you multiply, right? The effect that you have maybe on the people on your same level or the people above you. And as we're running out of time here, I just want to talk about the 3 types of recovery that we have in our blog. Recovery was seen as the #1 factor in high-performing teams according to Google's Project Aristotle, meaning that recovery is fairly important. In that gym analogy, I said that recovery that you do at home when you're working out is very, very vital to building those muscles up, right? If you just worked out, and you didn't eat properly and rest, those gains would be severely halted, right? You could even make negative gains if you're not eating the proper food or taking the proper rest. And then, of course, injury happens. Our injury, part of the metaphor, could be burnout. It could be as serious as a panic attack. It could be as serious as needing time off. Those things are all accumulate. And so what you want to do to avoid that quote unquote injury is to take the proper rest and recovery. And the 3 types of recovery that we talk about are cognitive, emotional, and social. So first, cognitive is that need for clarity, right? Cognitive recovery means doing things that allow you to clear your mind so that when you come back with that mental clarity, you can make quality decisions. Emotional recovery means taking note of your emotions, right? Maybe journaling after an interaction that you didn't feel like you handled the best because you weren't recovered enough, and how you could have done better with it. And then lastly, and this is the one I'll leave you with, is our social recovery, right? This is one that we do really well at the school that I work at. We have what we call limitless lunches. And these are lunches that we have with the students where we are not allowed to talk about anything academic related. All we can talk about are the things that they enjoy outside of school while we DoorDash one of their favorite meals. So this allows us to talk freely about the things that we care about and that they like so that they can feel like them as people, as social beings are seen, and that we don't just care about what they produce in the classroom. And I believe that does come to the end of our time. So what I want you to do before I go is think about what form of recovery you feel like you need most, and maybe write down an example of a way that you can chase that form of recovery before you hop off this call.